Pain is a birthing place. And on this stage in my journey, I'm noticing, learning, and experiencing that the quickest path to pleasure is truly through pain. Peace to all of God. Peace, soul family. It's your brother Gademshi. Really in the only place to be, in nature and my own heart. And family, I want to share something that I've experienced in the last last 2 weeks. It's been huge for my own awareness, and it has a lot to do with the path of avoiding pain. I feel so inspired to talk about this because it's so deep in my heart that you have to have a heart-to-heart to get this message. We have to have a heart-to-heart. Family, I've started noticing that in the context of this life, there's a lot of ways you want to make it, like especially when you start getting aware and you start noticing how we choose to live based on our lack of awareness or our absence of understanding. I build myself all the time because this is the greatest investment that I am. This is the greatest investment that you can find in the world, your own self. And I always started to notice, when I started choosing peace, when I started choosing clarity, when I started choosing joy, when I started choosing expansion, when I started choosing consciousness, when I started choosing all the things that's not being served nowadays, I had to I felt like I needed to protect myself because there's other people around me that wasn't choosing that. So it felt like it was a counter, or it was like a separation of interest or something like this. And I'm speaking about my biological family actually, because them be the folks. But I started noticing, like, without them being exactly the way that they are, I wouldn't have had an interest to grow my own soul. If I was born in a house of self-aware individuals, I might not have actually been needing to teach myself anything through the dynamic of dissemination. So I actually made a choice. I was like, well, look, if they're not gonna vibe with it, that's cool. I'm gonna have my smoothies. I got my sea moss. I got my chlorella. Got my haritaki. What y'all want? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go through the list. We meditating at 7. What y'all want to do? I found out that nobody was really interested because they weren't at that stage. I took it personally. It felt like pain. It felt like pain to be in a place where I didn't feel to choose to be there. It was so interesting. And in the midst of that, I thought that I would make my own experience. So I chose pleasure. And what that looked like to me was really just peace of mind. And when I understand peace of mind, it means that nobody's taking a piece of mine. So I want to be by myself because I trust myself. And I'll talk about my person. I want to be about my own person, by the own form that I've taken right now. And I saw that wasn't really the best because I was avoiding what looked like pain. I'm going to remind you, pain is a birthing place. If you look at the quality in which human beings come to this planet Earth, they don't show up on flying nimbus and clouds and, coming down the petals of flowers and stuff. They come through a womb, okay? And the process, it's a tough process. Now, I don't know much about it, but I know what it sounds like, okay? But I know how long it takes. But I know a little bit. And there's a lot of pain in that process. But without that process, you wouldn't be all that you are right now. Without that process, you wouldn't have your kids walking around right now. Without that process, your family would just be you, So what I'm really anchoring in on this is, how much do we want to avoid pain in the hopes of finding pleasure? And I'm going to go into my own personal story here, because the moment I realized that I wasn't being received, cultivated my own place of receptivity, where people could receive me. That's why I started sharing, because I was like, hold up. I'm not falling asleep for these niggas. I'm not falling asleep for anybody on this fucking earth. So we're going to have to learn something today. So I took myself to the space of learning. Now I cultivated my spirit, I cultivated my soul, but I will tell y'all, like, my person and the physical did not level up the same way that my mental, my spiritual, my emotional did. I'm still clarifying how that is for myself, but that is exactly what I experienced. Because now, though I was able to cultivate my spirit, find the peace within myself, and make myself a source of that, I had to come and visit the pain anyway. So it's like, you can avoid the pain momentarily, But the pain is actually the invitation to your next level of growth. And if you don't want your next level of growth, then I guess you just want to choose, a form of bliss, which has no parts of growth in it. And that's kind of what it looks like, man. That's really what it feels like. So I decided to leave my mom's house. This was 2 years ago? Almost two years ago now. I tried my best to give my mom the remembrance at that time of her own self. I got a lot of pushback. I got a lot of resistance, and she was going through a lot herself. And I'm building a business. I'm building multiple businesses. I'm teaching, I'm preaching, I'm sharing, I'm doing a whole bunch of things. I'm just having fun, really, all day long. And I felt like I was being drained by this experience because I was not able to cultivate in the midst of it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess, and this is where some of the information started popping in at, where they say, oh, well, you gotta leave some folks, you gotta, some folks can't come, they say certain things like this, and I'm like, oh, I feel that because I've been overworking myself trying to give. I gotta stop this because I gotta give to myself because I feel I gotta make sure my cup is really running over so y'all can get some. So I decided to find my place. I found a place. It was a townhouse. I moved into it, and I rented it out for about a year and like 3 months or something like that. Like I was telling y'all, I cultivated my soul, blossomed my spirit, all the things. And then I was moving out of there, looking for another place. And I wasn't finding any places. And I was cultivating because I was like, I got this place because I asked exactly for this place. I wanted a place where I had 2 rooms so I could separate all my stuff and then had to work in my bedroom. I found that. Before I found the 2-bedroom, I was seeing studios the whole time because I hadn't cultivated my vision. As soon as I cultivated my vision, boom, exactly what I asked for is exactly what I found. So I'm asking for something right now. I'm like, why am I not finding this? Where's it at? And I hear in my spirit, well, now was not the time. Well, what was the time for? The time was for me to actually revisit the pain I was running away from earlier. The pain I was running away from earlier was really just my mom, my mother, and bringing the level of frequency of love to her so she could reflect that to me because she wasn't already reflecting that to me. That's why I was out here trying to find this shit and figure out what the qualities of thought are that are not in place that keep people away from their own joy, keep people away from their own happiness, keep people away from their own acceptance of themselves. And it was so deep because I poured out to so many people, y'all. Like, I poured out to so many people. I don't even know how to measure this. But I asked myself, I was like, I'm building a tribe. What is tribe gonna feel like if they ask me about my folks? Where my folks gonna be at? Like, is my story gonna be that, oh, well, they wasn't with it, so is that what my story's gonna be? I was like, no, that's not what my story's gonna be because there's nothing that can be created in the physical realm that has dominion over me. There's nothing. There's nothing. So I don't care who I was birthed by. I created them to create me in this way. So to love them from my person is a little bit difficult, but to love them from the source that I am caused my person to grow. You understand that? And I had to really embody that and go into it by myself and really make that story the way it is, or else I wouldn't have learned it. I wouldn't have learned it if I was told to stay and deal with people. Deal with them the way that they are. You can't do that all the time. But you have to understand why you're here. You got to know really what your purpose is, how to tie it into all of you, and be about it every day. Mine has a lot to do with chains. Something like chains. I don't got a chain on right now, but chains of the mind, chains of the spirit, chains of the heart. I like to break chains. It's fun. I like the sound it makes when someone is jubilating in their emotional state. They don't have a reason to. They just have all the reasons why they can and no reasons why they shouldn't. So family, man. So right now, I'm with my mom right now. And the conversations that we've been having have been so nourishing for me to even say. Now, I say so much already. I've already said a lot. I probably said everything. Until something else is invented shit, I guess I might have well already spoken about it. But to share some of these things with my biological mother, in the countenance that she is now ready for the conversation. Before, maybe I was trying to help her. Maybe before I was just trying to make her. And that's what God does. God makes men in his own image. So it's not new for me to try and restore. That's why I'm here. So it was just so nourishing, so satisfactory. And I had discounted that. I had discounted that from being a jubilating, a real nourishing experience for me, or something I really wanted. I really wanted it before, but then after I noticed that everybody's called but only few answer the phone, I was like, well, then they can talk on mute if they want to, that's fine. But it's actually not fine. I just let that be okay for the moment. So I personally was okay in my own body, my own temple of God. But I gotta make sure all the temples are anointed today. I gotta make sure all the temples are standing upright today. I gotta make sure that all the temples are beloved within themselves today. That's my business. And I'm very grateful to have this awareness, so I no longer choose to walk the path of avoiding pain, because from the true awareness of source, there's nothing outside of you. So what could really hurt when it's only a birthing place? Peace to all of God. I give thanks to the cosmic being as you are for tuning into this. I give thanks to my ancestors. I give thanks to my mother, Vivian, and my father, Joseph, for being all that they are in the exact way that they came, so I could be all of me right here, now, today. Be at peace now. Peace abounds. Ashe.